Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. And this is your host, Vivian Esti Guzman, for My Spiritual GPS, wherein we really look into where you are in life, where you want to go, or where you want to be. And we work on the different areas, the in between that sometimes we somehow avoid, right? Looking at it. But the more we look at it, the more you head on, take care of the things that you need to take care of so that you can go through life with ease, grace, and flow. And today, because July 4th is coming up, right? There's a lot of sometimes fireworks and a lot of noises. And we know that the world is opening up because, we had a little bit more vaccinations all over the world. And now people are more out and about. But the thing is, are they really free, right? Are we really free? Is there freedom in the movement that we make? Or what does freedom really mean to you? And for those of you with furry friends and animals called pets, we are here to deliver that message and actually share with you some remarkable tools that one of our practitioners has discovered. So I want to welcome Miss Vienna Dunham. Vienna, how are
Hi,
you?
Vivian.
Thanks
Doing
for
well.
being here. Thank
Thanks
you.
for having me today.
Yes. And Vienna, everybody knows you already as the Emotion Code Practitioner. So share with them a little bit of what is Emotion Code and how did you discover that it actually works for pets and owners?
Thank you. Great questions. So, emotion code is a non invasive way and non time consuming, very quick and clean way to release trapped emotions. And
Mhm.
trapped emotions are little bundles of energy somewhere between the size of an orange and a cantaloupe. And emotions are like water, as you taught me, and it's designed to just flow through the body, 30 seconds to 2 minutes. That wave of emotion can go through. The time that it gets tracked is when it meets with stress hormones. So
Mm.
high emotion, adrenaline, cortisol is like, "Arr!" And it can get trapped anywhere in the
How does it
heart.
feel when you're stressed, right?
Oh,
You almost feel constipated at times, I think.
exactly. Everything tightens, which, yeah, it affects flow in every way, let's
Yes,
just say.
yes.
Yes, not just
And
emotion flow. So you ask about animals. So Dr. Bradley
yes.
Nelson,
Huh?
was given emotion code and brought it to the world, he is the one who discovered that it worked with animals. So animals obviously have feelings too. Any pet owner will tell you that, and they can't really talk about their emotions. But if you
Mhm,
watch their behavior, you'll
mhm.
see those little, sometimes subtle, sometimes not so subtle nuances of behavior change that
That's
indicate what they're feeling. And they there's not a placebo effect with animals, right? So
yeah.
when you
They're
can do
very real.
something
Yep.
exactly, they're authentic. They don't know what it is to be
That's
inauthentic.
that's right. That's
Take a
right.
lesson from your pet, right?
That's right. Take a
Be
lesson from.
real.
Oh my gosh. So,
So,
thank you for sharing that. And I know you've done an emotion code demo with some of our clients, right? And some people, maybe in your town, in your area.
mhm.
So, I wanted to bring up one of our clients, Shifra. Shifra! Let's add her
Hello.
to the show.
Hi,
Hi,
Shifra. Welcome.
Shifra.
Hi, everyone. Hello.
Wow, thank you for being here.
Well,
So go
thanks for
ahead
inviting
and
me.
share. Yes, thank you for why don't you guys share what happened last was it Tuesday that you did like a free demo of emotion code
Mhm.
to Shifra and other people and their pets, right? Their animals, and share with them what happened.
Well,
Go ahead,
I'll
Shifra.
share that the dog that I have now was my friend's mother's dog,
Okay.
and she had her for about 10 years. She had dementia towards the
Ooh.
last 5 years of her life, and she was abused a little bit. And one day in January 7th of 2019, she passed away.
Oh
Mm.
And
wow.
on January 18th of that year, well, they asked me if I would take the dog. They knew that my dogs had passed and they thought I would be a good match. And I'll tell you, this dog was just uprooted from her home that she lived in for 10 years. She was brought to somebody else's house for me to meet there and then brought to my house here. And every time we get in the car, she literally shakes. I have to put a doTERRA oil of lavender on her just to like bring her from a juicer down to like a little jitter, like a little
Wow.
shake. And so when Vienna did this last week, we saw it was just spot on
Mm.
and it was shock. The
Mm.
dog has been in shock for 2.5 years now.
Wow.
And I have seen such a difference in the last week. She's barking more, so she's talking more.
Found her
Anyhow,
voice.
she found her voice. However, that she did have a little incident the other day when I turned on a flashlight to look for something under the couch. I don't know what that had to do with anything, but I got her to calm down. I, I couldn't get her to calm down before all this. She would just be like frozen.
Oh
And
wow.
it is so different now that we released the shock in her. It's been remarkable and a miracle.
That's
Oh.
beautiful, Shifra. You're so good at noticing details and describing them. Thank you for that.
Yes,
Mhm.
you're welcome.
Oh wow.
And it
So,
was pretty fast. I think we did 15 swipes
mhm.
from the back of the neck down to the tail. And how's it getting
So
better than that?
Sheila, did you actually do the swipe on the dog, or did
Yes,
you? Oh, you
yes.
did.
We
Okay, okay.
actually did the swipe on the dog. I sat on the, she was like, what is she doing?
What's all this attention?
Oh
Well,
my
I got
God.
down on the floor with her, and I normally don't get down on the floor with her. She usually comes, I have a place on the couch for her to be, and that's usually where I do all the petting.
Right,
And so I just got on the floor, and she just thought I was petting her.
right.
Wow, wow. So Vienna, can you share with the audience a little bit of what's that connection like? Is the dog really the one that's having the trauma or the shock, or was it the owner? Like, or is it together, like that same thing? What's that mechanism? Like, how come they somehow develop, right? Like you said, for us, it would be called an illness or a sickness.
Mhm.
But for dogs, we just notice a change in behavior. Maybe
Right.
we're not looking at people's behavior changes that much, or
That could also be true. And
yes,
I think if we expand maybe and talk to some veterinarians, they would probably say, actually, a fair bit of animal diseases are probably related to their trapped emotions.
Wow.
And just like with people, with animals, I find that often their shock or abandonment and such as that can go clear back to birth or just a few weeks old. So it's not a precision thing with emotion code. Dr. Nelson says, but for people, it can be within a year, either side of the year that we find with muscle testing.
Mhm.
And animal years are different than people years, but I've definitely found some, and it often coincides with a shift in owners or a move or something, the time that we find. And I had been thinking, so you talk about the connection with owners. My daughter adopted a dog, and then my son ended up, my daughter couldn't take the dog with her on a move, so my son adopted it.
Okay.
And he didn't feel very connected, and she was extra skittish. She's always been high intensity, hyper reactive. So like her response times, like, she hears a noise and she's just like running.
Mm. Right.
And it was more so with men. So we formulated a story in our minds, not knowing her background,
Right.
that maybe she had been abused by a man. And that may still be true. But as I did some emotion code work for her, it turned out that a fair bit of it tested as being back to another dog. And that had not occurred to me, that it
Right.
could have been the pecking order thing. And
Right.
so this
Yeah.
was a bully dog that she couldn't get away from. They were in the same yard together. And
Oh.
and so that's a lot of her shock and trauma. So as I've been releasing that, my son's response, he doesn't want to overstate things and give credit where he's not sure it's due. I appreciate that
Mhm.
move for truth,
Yeah.
But a few weeks later, I asked him if he felt like the session made a difference, because to me, her response time was markedly slower. She'd hear a noise and turn instead of, this kind of thing. And a few weeks later, he said, Mom, Mila and I have bonded a lot more lately.
Oh,
So,
good, good. Because he's more open. The dog is more open to receiving
right,
the love. I think
right.
that also goes true for humans, right? Like
Mhm.
we've been programmed so much from birth all the way to about 8 years old,
Mm,
according to literature. And the more we are actually confined, right, in the program, we don't know anything else aside from the response that we're so used to, or we call it reaction. It's
right.
almost like somebody slaps you in the face and either you just slap them back, right? That's a reaction
Right.
because that's common. It's like, pap, pap,
Mhm.
versus they slap you or you just pull back and go, wait, what just happened? Did you just slap me? Like
Right.
different response rather than
Yeah.
immediate slap, slap.
Right. Yeah. That's a good
Yeah.
differentiation
Vanessa,
between it.
I had the same experience. When you said shock, a
Mm-hmm.
month before my friend's mother passed away, I had a shocking experience happening December 7th. So when
Oh,
you talked about the shock, I
Ah,
had a shock before she got here. So when you were releasing from her last week and you said that, it was like I felt so much lighter. Like just
oh,
like this energy shift just
wow.
from my shock, because we never really cleared any of my shock. I've done a
right.
lot of work with
Right.
you, and I did some work with some other emotion code people before I ever met you, and
Uh-huh.
shock never came up.
Oh my
But
goodness.
so I was hiding it really, really well.
Right?
Right. Yep.
I was hiding. So when you said the dog is from shock, I was like, oh, is it my shock or her shock? I think it was both of our
I think
shocks.
Yeah.
it really can't even be divided, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then and then they do play off of each other. You asked that question, Vivian, is it this one's or this one's?
Mm-hmm.
And certainly what happens to the owner influences the pet, and what happens to the pet influences the owner. And
Yeah.
my brother had an experience with an older dog that he had, and it had come to the point where it was like making little messes all over the house instead of on the
Ah,
pee pad at night.
right.
So it was impacting him big time. You know, he was
Yeah,
having to clean up messes all the time. And
right.
we released some trapped emotions. About I think there was about 8 that day that we addressed that problem. And he said there were very few accidents after that.
Well,
Wow.
in a human form, that mess, you know
Yeah.
how, think about this, right? If we
Okay.
convert this to a human mess,
Mhm.
you know how sometimes we get scared, right, to take on different ventures and different projects, different businesses, or even different activities in the business because we're afraid to mess up. I mean, that's a real fear. It's a
That's
fear, it's an
true.
anxiety. It almost causes you to stress out that you're going to do something because you haven't done it before. Anxiety is fear of the future, right? And
Yes,
fear obviously is from the past.
that's
So
beautiful.
the peeing, because it's a release. If you look at urination, or even when they have a bowel movement, that is
Mhm.
a release.
It's
So
true.
if they can't express it to you, they may physically just do that. And then of course we get upset, right? Like we may get upset because it's like, are you messing up my couch? Are you messing up my carpet? But at
Okay.
the same time, think about, for us humans, if we don't want to mess things up, what happens, right? We just withdraw and not do it. I mean, that's
Wow.
one way. Or we do it, but we mess up more because what we think about happens.
Yeah,
It
so
becomes
true.
Oh,
a
Vivian, that was brilliant. That was brilliant. The dog was brought in here with the cat, and the dog, I was told never peed in the house, and she started peeing all over the house.
Mhm.
So my sister had said to me, I think she's marking her spot for the cat. But I think what you
Yes.
just said was she was so pissed that cat was here that she was showing me that she's so now she's crated at night. We don't have that issue. However,
Okay.
I'd like to nudge it. That is
Yeah.
just
I
such a great point that animals can't speak,
No.
so that's the way they show us. I never
Yep.
thought of
Yep,
that.
that's
Yeah.
brilliant.
So
I saw the light bulb on your face, like, the aha moment.
I
Ah!
did.
it
That's
is. It
brilliant.
is. Because there's always correlation if you look at that. And the more it's a cause and effect, right? You
Mhm.
do this, this happens. Good. If it's successful, perfect. Then you keep on doing it, right?
Right.
However, if there's a trapped emotion, it doesn't matter if it produces the result you want or not want. You're going to keep on doing it because you just feel like it. It could
Yeah.
be a power struggle, a territorial, like, this is my spot. Like, don't ever come here,
Yep,
right? Because it feels powerful, even if you're messing things up.
it's true. You're making
Well,
a statement.
how brilliant will emotion code for pets be for for this
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
an owner sees this kind of stuff and they can have that trapped emotion
Mhm.
released.
There
I
I ha
mean,
I have another story for that. I
Okay.
met a lady in a meeting, and she just happened to mention, "Well, I have to go home now. I have 3 pets. I just brought a new cat into the mix. I had adopted a dog and a cat, and they were getting along well.
Mhm.
Didn't have to give them any
Okay.
special parameters. They just got along. I brought
Yep.
in another cat, and now nobody gets along."
Oh
And
no.
yeah, and so she had to keep them in 3 separate bedrooms. She had to feed them
wow.
in separate bedrooms. So her whole life was flipped upside down for a few months. She mentioned it, and I said, I'm doing emotion code training, and Dr. Nelson had the brilliance to require, of the 30 sessions that you do in the training, 4 of them have to be with animals
Oh,
because he
nice.
wants you to know what's possible, right?
Yes.
So I said, I would love to knock out 3 of those sessions with your animals if you're willing. So we did 10 minutes for each one. She'd go into the bedroom with that pet, and we'd find the emotion, and she'd pet from the neck down to the tail.
Yep.
And then she'd go into the next bedroom, and we'd do 10 minutes with that animal and find some trapped emotions and release them. And I texted her a few days later, and she says, "Oh yeah, everybody's fine. Now they're just all out in the open, no issues anymore." And I texted her like 6 months later, "Hey, how's it going?" "Yep, everybody's still fine, all resolved." And I was like, "Oh."
Awesome.
How amazing is
Congratulations.
that? That is
Yes.
amazing.
So let's see, inter-animal relationships, not interpersonal.
Yeah.
Every
Oh,
vet ought to know about this. Every veterinarian's office ought to know about this.
You know what my brother he said every animal shelter needs an emotion code practitioner.
Oh,
yes.
What
yes.
if every animal was more adoptable because they weren't
Yes.
biting, peeing, whatever the undesirable traits are that make them a little less than.
Wow. I think we need to get you all over TV and radio, Vienna, for that.
Let's go. I'm in.
Oh my
I said to a friend when I found out about the animals, I said, you know what? I think I'm going to get into emotion code through the doggy door.
Oh,
God.
that's
Yeah,
funny.
definitely.
Talk about manifesting. Talk about
That's right.
manifesting. I want to share, yeah, I do a lot of energy work and I receive a lot of energy work. So
Mhm.
when I was gifted this dog, she was 10 and she looked like a really old lady. I mean, really,
Oh,
really old lady.
Okay.
She's going to be 12 in July. And I walk
Okay.
her and they say, what a cute puppy.
Oh my goodness.
What a cute puppy. So and like, how do you do that? And I'm like, I do a lot of energy work and I have these, essential oils that I'm diffusing all the time. So
Yeah.
I'm telling you, they really think she's a puppy. And it's just,
Wow.
you
oh,
can turn that around. I mean, really, just turn that right around.
That
right.
is beautiful. Have you seen the pictures online? This is some of the most amazing and amusing things I've seen is a picture of an animal and their owner, and they look very much alike.
Oh
So
no.
the tall, thin lady with the long hair has an Afghan hound.
Oh my gosh.
It is so, so funny. So, Shifra, I'm thinking you're so youthful in your countenance. So, the dog had been with an older lady, and now you take care of yourself and your skin and your energy and everything.
Yep.
And you've given that gift to this dog, and it's
Oh, yeah.
reflecting you now instead of the older lady, right?
Yep.
And the gift of gab and the gift of, that barking and talking is, I know that's like,
Oh my
she sees me doing it all the time too. I agree. Yes. Yes, yes,
That's
yes. That's
beautiful.
funny.
Well, Shifra, for demo, would you like to see if there's a trapped emotion now with regard because it might be that this is like the pendulum swinging. Didn't bark a lot before, now over barking, to either get out those years worth of whatever, or just like needing to find that middle ground,
God.
or even with the peeing. We might be able to,
Would you like me to go get her?
sure.
Sure, let's
Hold
get
on.
it
I will
done.
be right back.
Okay.
Let's see.
Yeah,
Let's
perfect.
let's all hope pray that she's cooperative. Hold on.
Oh, yeah, right. Mm.
Oh, that
So
was fun.
while Shifra does that, I'll just hold up the little emotion code thing and talk about if someone wants to check this out. The emotion code app is free at the App Store, and you'll
Okay.
know you have the right one if it looks like this. So it's a
Right.
chart of 60 trapped emotions in two
Oh, look at
columns and 6 rows. Hmm?
what's the doggy's name?
Well, hello. Can you guys hear me? This
Yeah.
is
Perfect.
baby girl. This is baby girl.
I love that. Hi,
But that
baby
was her
girl.
name. But I called her baby. I had her for a year before I ever knew her name was baby girl because um, we had the same vet, my friend and
Okay.
I. And so when we went to the vet with me as the owner now, they called him baby girl, and I said, "Can I ask why you called her baby girl?" And they said because that's her name. So I called my friend. I'm like, I thought you said her name was baby. She goes, "Oh, her name's baby girl, but we just call her baby." I'm like, would have been nice to know.
Yeah,
So this is
perfect.
baby, and normally she would be shaking like a leaf. Right now, she's like, "Why am I not in my comfy little bed?" Can you guys
Right?
hear?
Yes. Hi, baby girl. Good to see you.
Oh,
Uh,
hey.
all right. So, Shifra, do I have your permission to see if baby girl has a trapped emotion?
Absolutely.
All right. So, our topics are the barking and the marking territory or the peeing, however we want to think of that.
Mhm.
So, does baby girl have a trapped emotion? Yes. Is it in column A? Yes. It's row 5. Oh, this is way too funny. This is like one of my favorite words on the chart. You're going to laugh. It's peeved.
She's peeved, and
Yeah.
that's just basically what Vivian had said.
Yep. So the definition irritated, annoyed, exasperated, irked, aggravated, ticked off.
Mhm.
Okay,
That's
baby
baby
girl.
girl.
We're going to clear this thing.
Let's
Do we need to know more about this? Yes. Okay. Is there more than one instance we can clear? Yes. More than 5? No. So we can clear 3 instances of peeved at one time. And do we need to know first occurrence? Yes. Before age 5? Yeah. Before age 3? No. So age 4 was the first time this came up. And then is it hers alone? Yep. Not inherited from the parents. And do we need to know how big? Yes. So we're going to measure in inches, feet, yards.
Hold on.
All right. More than 10 yards, more than 15, 15, 14, 13 yards worth of peeved. I wonder if those are physical yards, like this neighbor's yard and this neighbor's yard. Just saying, it can be funny like that. And now, do we need to know anything else to clear it? Nope. Can it clear with 10 sweeps? Yes. All right. 10 little passes down
Here we
baby
go.
girl's back. Looks like she's kind of enjoying that. Yeah, and anybody watching, you can just clear a little peeved from your own life. And you can do
we
this on
also get peeved at times, so we just release our own peeved.
exactly. Exactly. All right. Tell me when you're done, Shifra.
I'm done. I didn't do me,
Beautiful.
I did her.
Yeah,
She wants
perfect.
down. Say thank you,
Okay.
Vienna. Say thank
Bye,
you.
baby girl. Thanks for joining us.
Gonna do me
And
really quick.
yeah, perfect. Perfect. And is that clear for baby girl? Yes, that is clear. So you'll have to be in touch and let us know how
Yeah.
less peeve changes life.
You
So
know,
maybe I should not let her. She would be so happy not to be in that crate.
oh yeah,
Yes.
So
That
I
you
will.
oh man, you talk about freedom.
hmm
Our topic is
That would.
freedom.
Yeah. Oh yes, yes, yes. I'll take a chance. I
Okay.
just had the carpets cleaned. I don't want I don't want the whole carpet peed on. I'll give her a moment. Like let's
Okay.
just see. I have stuff to clean it up,
All
and
right.
I would love for her not to have to go in there. I would love
Yep.
that. So
That is
she would love that.
beautiful. Yes.
yeah. Because you now have you trained her where to go though? Exactly where to go.
She knows that when I'm going to bed, I call her name and she goes to the back door.
Okay.
And I let her out. She goes pee and she goes right into the crate.
Okay. So yeah, she has a routine already. So I think that's important, right? So when we have
I
a
can
little
leave the gate. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, the crate door open.
the gate door open, like, but when we have a little bit of a consistency, even for animals, then there's less chaos because things are happening accordingly. Like that's the reason, by the way, why we have a schedule most often than not, right? Because if you can imagine a household wherein the people, like the kids, don't know when it's danger. You know how some people, maybe they were born in the military families and they always have to go somewhere, but they don't know when that needs to happen. You see that, like our freedom, right, in this country, we've earned it in a way by other people also defending our country. Does this make sense? But can you imagine
100%.
people that sacrifice for us
Right.
in the military, because sometimes they just got to go, like say, okay, there's war here, you're assigned over there, and then the whole family has to pack. I think of it that way because my husband was in the military before, but we never experienced that kind of thing. But the other people that are high-ranking officials that we know of, and in the Philippines, we used to live in Olongapo, and it's close to the naval base, right? So that kind of things happening, they're happening all over us. So we always
Right.
our military people who's always been there for us and protected this country. So thank you. But for the dogs, if you look at a family that almost like you don't know, are we going? Are we staying? Right? I mean, where's the freedom there?
Right.
We're used to the like, let's get up and go now. Like we have 2 days to pack and we gotta go. Can you imagine that kind of life?
Mm-mm.
Well,
Yeah.
my son just moved with his dog and cat, and I was talking to them last night. The cat
Right.
won't come out from underneath the bed, and the dog is usually a really happy dog, and she's very sad. And he sent me a picture of her, and
Oh,
yeah, I'm just going to give you an example of my daughter-in-law doesn't understand energy. And I said, oh, she probably misses all her friends and all the people that were
right.
coming over. And she goes, well, she'll just have to make new ones. And I said, yeah,
Wow.
that they can't get in a car and drive and go see their old friends. I said, unless
No.
you come down here and take them. So, I mean, you can see in her eyes, you can see. And then I said, I'll bet you she's sleeping on the bed now with you guys. And they're basically like, how did she know this? And it's
Mm.
because this dog is so smart. Okay, you're going to take me away from my friends and everything else. I'm going to sleep right in between you two.
You're very
Hogging the bed. Hogging the bed. So they do have their ways of saying, you want to do this to me? I'll
Mhm.
show you what I'm going to do now.
Yep.
Yeah. No,
Well,
it's true.
feel free to mention to your son if you'd like a little session for the dog and the cat to help them transition to their new home. We can do that.
I
Yes,
would love that.
definitely.
And I wanted to mention too, since we're talking about July 4th
Mhm.
and freedom, fireworks, as you mentioned at the top of the program, are a really big deal for some pets. My father was a veterinarian and I worked in his clinic for some years, and people would come in early July and buy tranquilizers for their
What?
dogs. Yeah,
Yeah.
or the dogs would just go absolutely ape. It was just so sad. So they would just let them sleep the night away and then wake up the next morning and it was all over. So
Oh,
it's,
wow.
it's not everybody's favorite thing, but neither is a freaked out dog, right? So uh,
So
that
share
is
with them, how does this emotion code actually help with that? Like,
okay.
because I know 4th of July is coming up, right? And so a
That's
lot of
exactly right.
families, I think a lot of us are going to be out because we have been contained for such a long time that we're like,
Right.
we want to see the park. We want to see the fireworks. We want to see something.
Exactly. Anything but my four walls.
That's right. That's
And
right.
then,
What
but
happened?
some people feel constricted to be at home because they know their pet's going to be freaking out.
Ah,
So, I appreciate commitment to pets. And what if there's another way?
there.
So,
Yes.
uh, what I've found, I've only tested it with thunderstorms, which
Yep.
is a bit of a similar
Yeah.
light and loud noises, right? So I've been working on my sister's dog with regard to storms,
Okay.
and so I'm looking forward to seeing also what happens with fireworks. So we put together a class that's going to start next week,
Mhm.
and we're going to have 2 sessions before the 4th and 2 after,
Okay.
and just see if 4 weeks straight, and see if we can't make a difference for pets and owners, or nope, someone doesn't even have to have a pet to be available for this class. And one of my daughter's friends, I asked her, I knew she had been in the military and had PTSD. I said, "What were you doing last July 4th?" And she said, "I was shaking, crying, and felt like I was going to pass out. I
Wow.
wore headphones and played music all night." And I said, "Wow, what would freedom feel like for her?" And
Mm-hmm.
so we've been doing sessions for her, and we're going to see how the 4th might look different for her having freedom. And so you ask, what is it that causes that for
Mm-hmm.
pets? And I believe it's trauma. Like, you don't, I've seen puppies on the 4th, and newborn puppies aren't laying there shaking,
No.
scared. They're
No.
just not. So it's a trapped emotion.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
my experience, and it can be from birth, but it can also just be from uh, I don't know, separation anxiety when they go to a new home.
Because the
It can just
dogs and your pets absorb a lot of the owner's energies.
That's true too.
I can tell you that if I've treated a few owners and they've brought in their pets, I look at this dog one time because they said he's dying, and I look at the dog like, oh my God, he took on everybody else's problem in the family. Family was so healthy, right? Like,
Wow.
but this is the good news, right? The
Yeah.
dog has a way to neutralize the energy somehow. Because when I'm pulling the energy out from the dog's body, it's almost like, you know how if you got attacked by a bunch, like a swarm of bees or a bunch of insects, and then the insects literally went inside the dog's body. Just think of it that way, right?
Okay.
Then they're already dead. It's almost like the dog neutralized all of it.
Okay.
All of the trapped emotion, everything. But then eventually the system, right? The dog system can no longer handle it.
Okay.
So then the dog eventually dies. That really does happen.
Wow.
I was fascinated though when I was pulling things out, right, energetically from that dog. The owners reported back to me because he was supposed to die in like 2 to 3 days. And then they said, oh no, he actually lived longer than expected because he had a session. He had a session. So you can see, you can gift your dog, your cat, whatever animal you have, the gift of emotion code because maybe they don't know how to deal with it. They only know how to protect the owners. That's their job. Loyal companions. Let's put it that way. They would do everything for the owner to make you healthy, to make you feel good. But then they don't feel good. So please take care of them.
Oh, that's a beautiful sentiment. And you know how it works in nature. If you think of, if you've ever seen a nature show where a lion chases a gazelle and maybe two of them were being chased but one got away, and that one, after the threat is over, it'll just lay there and shake and shake and shake. And that's how it gets out that stress hormones. And it doesn't trap the emotion. It just lets it go on through.
Moves it out.
But
wow.
I don't know if animals in non-wild situations kind of have lost that technique of dealing with it, but and people would worry about us if we laid there and shook.
Just like leave them alone, let them shake it off.
Exactly.
Does that make sense, Shifra? Because I know you've been a dog owner for such a long time. I mean,
yes, I'm going to share a couple of things with you. First of all, when my son moved out and took the dog, I cried harder that he took the dog than he moved him out. I mean, so bad. I cried so hard that I had to have somebody come run my access bars so that I could calm down, because I was just devastated over the dog because the dog and I were so in love.
Oh my goodness.
And so I just really feel that dog declined after she moved out from me. And I swear that dog declined because she wasn't with me 24/7. I want to share something. I know I just lost this client, a beauty client, and I'm okay with this. Her dog had cancer and went into a cancer treatment trial and didn't work. And the dog looked perfectly happy. I mean, perfectly happy. And I think sometimes an owner of an animal gets so sucked in at, I'm going to say this out loud, for attention of what their dog's going through, that they buy into it. And so she bought into all that stuff. And I made some great suggestions, of what to do with that dog. And she didn't want to hear it, and she put the dog down. And when she came in, she was so upset. I just said to her, there were so many other options that I wish you would have tried. And I know she got mad at me for that. And I'm okay with that because, Vivian, you've taught me some people just don't want to hear that. They just want to be stuck in that emotion of what's going on. And I actually looked at the picture of the dog, there was a video or something. I looked at the dog and the dog was like, I saw life in that dog. So you got to look into the eyes of the dog. And so it goes back to when this dog that moved out, everybody kept saying to my son, put the dog down, put the dog down. And my son said, no, not until she tells me. And this will all relate back. And so one day he called me and he said, Kate told me last night, and Vivian saved Kate a million times. I cannot tell you, she'd say, do this to Kate, do that to Kate. And it all worked. And it all worked. I mean, that all worked. But the day my son called me one day and he said, she looked me in the eyes last night and she said, it's time. I don't want to be here anymore. And that's what I was trying to tell that client is look into the dog's eyes, because there's so many options. And, he came over here one day. He's like, I didn't want to believe your energy work and all you do and all those oils that you do. But that tumor that they wanted to charge me $3,000 for is gone in 5 days. So it's like, you got to pay attention because they're talking to you with their eyes and their body
Yeah.
language. They really do understand us 100%.
Yeah.
So
Beautiful.
yeah, so this is just
Listening as the human owners.
Right. So that is always my invitation to my clients, be they for themselves or as pet owners, is to be a noticer. Because if we can notice for ourselves and or notice for our pets, then we have options. But if we refuse to notice,
Yep.
we have what we've known with our conscious mind all our life, you know.
And I noticed this client didn't come back. I'm like, oh, she said, maybe she's out of it. And then I just literally thought yesterday, like, oh, it came to me yesterday. She didn't like what I had to say. And I said it nicely. It's just that there were so many other options besides putting her down.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
sometimes, Shifra, it's actually timing, because I've noticed this too, right? So I clear energies very fast, and some clients can't handle the speed. They told me, right? Like, Vivian, you're too fast. It's kind of like slow down a little bit because I can't handle the next change, because they're not used to the change that just occurred.
Right.
It's almost like taking it in like 3 steps, if you can divide a pie into 3, right? So then they go pause, and then they'll just enjoy the life, whatever that is that has changed already, because you can't go back. Unfortunately, once you decided to change,
Eyes open
to the old way, right?
Can't
Because
unsee it.
you can't unsee it, right? Like it's almost like, oh, I take off my glasses and I can see that stain. And you'll try to clean it. You try to ignore it doesn't exist, but it's there. It's there. Like, you got to do something about it if it annoys you already, right?
Yeah.
So then it's either, okay, well, that carpet is no longer that important to me. Then I'm going to move on to the next section of that carpet. Then I don't see that stain, right? So the physical reality of it. So you go to the next step, but sometimes it takes time and they need to pause. So it's really more timing. It's a timing issue. So that client, through her grief process, might just pull back for now. And then when she's ready, she may actually come back. So if you leave that door open, again.
It's open. It's open. It's definitely open. It was just an awareness that, it's just an awareness that I don't think she wanted to look at other options. I gave her other options. And sometimes people get
because she wants to feel good about her option. That's important.
About her choice. Yeah.
She wants to feel good about that option. So it's almost like our mind wants us to be right. So then because the more you'll try to defend yourself on the other side, the more she'll put up a wall, because she's going to be defending that side. So there's no wall, then it's open, right? So then when she's ready to step back and communicate again, then she will.
Yeah, beautiful.
That works. Yeah,
absolutely. I'm an open book. I'm always open. Like, what more can you bring me? I'm open. And that's what with the animals, it's just like, why would you want an animal that had all that?
Well, they're pure heart. They're pure energy. They're like, they don't have any sides, right? They don't. There's no good or bad. It's just, I'm here, I'm loyal to my owner, and I'll protect the owner no matter what. That's what I see in the soul of an animal, like soul of a dog. And so they'll do everything, right, to really help the family until they can't. I mean, that's how deep it is.
Wow.
Yeah. It's unconditional love. It's pure unconditional love.
You might persuade me yet to get a pet, Vivian. That sounds pretty dreamy.
I'm just laughing. I'll just tell you this. When Vivian met Kate many years ago, she's scared to death of her. And Kate loved Vivian like chocolate. She couldn't get enough of Vivian, and Vivian's like, oh my goodness, like just. And then she had like a little bit of attachment. So it's just kind of funny that this big dog just wanted to love her. It was just hysterical. And then they became little buddies. Well, her kids would be okay with the animals, and so it all just kind of
it evolved.
It all evolved. Yes.
That's beautiful.
Okay, so Vienna, how many sessions is this Freedom for Fourth? Because what day is it starting on? I can't remember the date. Is it a Monday or a Tuesday or a Thursday? I can't remember the date.
Next Tuesday is the 22nd.
Let me look at my calendar. I can't remember if we put it on Monday or Tuesday. I was thinking it's Monday.
Okay. I think it is, huh? And it's 4 sessions in a group setting, right?
Right.
And oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, I think it was a Monday we had it. We had it on Mondays, and it's going to start next, Monday?
No, it was Tuesdays at 5:30.
Nope, you're right.
Specific time.
Starting on the 22nd and going to July 13th. Thank you, Shifra.
Okay, perfect. Shifra, you are so good. So June 22nd, it's on Tuesdays, and it's going to start at, what'd you say?
5:30 Pacific.
5:30 Pacific. So 5:30 if you have any dogs, pets, cats, what other pets do people have? So right. You and
llamas, in pajamas,
right? Anything like that that perhaps could benefit from this Freedom for Fourth. So if they have any fear of fireworks, loud sounds, maybe you lost a loved one and maybe your pet is grieving. Yes. Sometimes they exhibit some weird symptoms with that too, right?
It's true.
Shifra, when else are the dogs usually like kind of not behaving like themselves? A change of owner, like yours?
And another pet
mine was
coming.
a change. Yeah, well, it was in this, she was in the same household. Well, she was adopted when she was 3 months old, from what I understand. And then she was in the same household, for 10 years. There was another dog there, but Baby was the boss, I heard.
Oh, yeah, boss babe.
And so then she comes here and there's a cat. And she's like, "Whoa, what?
Yeah, what's that? It looks different than me.
Well, she looks different than me. I've never seen, I don't know if the other person had a cat. I'm the boss. And the cat's like, no, you don't understand. I'm the boss.
You can be the dog
I sometimes
boss.
have to tell both of them, I'm the boss.
That's awesome.
I'm the boss. And so now I tell them I'm not going to, I used to defend each, like get in the middle. I don't do that anymore. They have to work it out amongst themselves.
Oh, good. Okay, you figured out that part. Okay, good. Yeah, and so we wanted peace and harmony and flow, right? That's the goal of this emotion code, so that not just the animals among themselves, but also the animals and the human, that we're going to have a better flow of communication, even emotion, right? So then they don't always take on all the things that we have, and then they can be healthy, not just for themselves, but also for us. So that's the goal of this Freedom for the Fourth.
I've got one more thought, Vivian, as you described all these different scenarios. I worked with someone the other day, and they just lost a pet that was very dear to them,
right?
And it triggered every other pet that they'd ever lost.
Oh.
And it became heavier than what you'd expect with just having lost one pet. And so we did a session clearing all the way back to the first pet.
Got triggered, or the animals got triggered?
It was the owner.
Oh, wow. That's huge. You just had me have another aha from when our family pet got ran over by a dog when the cleaning lady left the garage door open and ran out the door. I didn't even think of that.
Oh,
I didn't even think of that.
Shifra, clear.
Oh, my goodness.
No, because those are traumatic events.
Grief, clear grief, Shifra.
Clearing all the traumatic events in our lives. Yeah.
Yes, trauma and shock. Wow.
Yep. Yeah.
Wow. That is, see, you don't even think about that. Is this good for birds? You know how the birds just sometimes, would it be good for birds?
Absolutely. Yeah. Picture a bird that's been traumatized by a cat. Think of Tweety and Putty Tat.
Oh, I love Tweety.
Oh, it's true, but think about if you're attached to that bird, you can't fly your wings. You can't flap your wings and fly because somehow you clipped it, or like, well, no, I'm just going to stay here because it's safer. Well, that won't work very good if you're trying to run a business and fly, right? Like to expand it. So yes, it would work for different animals. Yeah.
Yep. And I've worked with horses before, and just in case somebody wonders, I have I have, or let's say a zookeeper, I have this elephant. How do I pet down the elephant's back? Well, actually, you can do it on yourself. It's
Okay.
intention that
Aha.
makes the connection. So
Got it. Okay.
we got options.
Wow. That is amazing with horses because sometimes people just want to put the horses down
Yeah.
instead of doing the work. Wow.
Yep.
That is.
I worked with my sister's horse last fall. It was almost winter, and she hasn't had anyone on it yet, but it was crow hopping and trying to buck people off. And I did an emotion code session for the horse, and I was actually with the horse, so I swept down its back. So I'm
Good.
eager to
What was
see.
it? What was it suffering from? From buck? What was the issue? Do you remember?
I don't remember, but this was, I have the paperwork, but I don't remember right off the top of my head what it was. But it was about 10 different emotions
Oh,
that from several different points in life
wow.
back to very early. And it would trigger somebody'd get on its back, and it was kind of like there had been maybe a little bit of, oh, I don't really like this, but it wasn't bucking until that last summer. And then suddenly it was like the straw that broke the horse's
Well,
back. It was
because
like, nope, I'm done.
it's
Off, off, with it, off.
cumulative, right? It's
What's
cumulative.
that? Yeah, that's right.
It's kind of like, you know how, let's say if I tell you, don't flick your finger on my arm, okay?
Yep.
But then you do it, but you do it like 10 million times.
Right.
And then one day when I'm really not happy and you do it, I would just like, get off me, right? Like
Yep.
just we get upset. But
Yeah.
it's because it's accumulation of that, whatever negative input that is. And one
Exactly.
day you're just like, enough of that. Like, I don't want to deal with you, period.
Hold on. I agree. Been there.
We
felt
could go
that.
into many different conversations on that one.
I know.
Freedom.
That's what it is.
Many different conversations on that.
And the
That's
end
a
result,
really good
when
point.
we clear
That's
it,
a
it's
really good
freedom.
point.
Yep. So that's why you want to release it, right? So that as soon as you remember it, it doesn't trigger you anymore. Because otherwise, we have a memory of this person that irritates the heck out of us. And
Right.
then we just hear her voice or see her on the internet, and we already get triggered.
Yep.
So we don't clear enough. I believe we don't. So that's why we have a memory of this person did this to me. And then when they call you today, it's like 6 months later, you still remember what they did 6 months ago.
Yep.
Which you should have released already, because otherwise it's an accumulation of negative energy. So you can, like I said, if you don't have any pets, but you're like, I really get triggered with the 4th of July thing, and why do people celebrate? You're almost like negative towards it.
Right.
Perhaps you have some freedom issues, or maybe you don't have any freedom in your life. That's the reason
Right.
why you're getting triggered.
That could very well
You
be
can take a look
Vivian.
at the other side of that, right?
Great
And
insight.
see what happens if you actually don't have any limitations that maybe you imposed on yourself or somebody imposed on you.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's just that, like somebody imposed this on you, that's why you think
Yes.
it's not possible. But that's not really true until you decided to believe it's true.
You know, remember, Vienna, we were speaking last week about me being afraid of fireworks.
Right.
Remember, I said to my mom one time, I love fireworks. She's like, no, you
Yes.
don't. You hate fireworks. And we figured out it was like age 8 or 9
Yep.
when that happened. Well, last year, you know, we were all locked in. We couldn't go places. And I remember I was on this street about 15 minutes away, 10, 15 minutes away. And it started looking like a war zone. So I thought, I'm out of here. I'm just going home. And I drove through a war zone. I literally drove through a war zone. And all that anxiety came up. And I ran in my house, the air conditioner. I had sound machines on. I shut the doors and I locked in. I was just like in my peace. And I realized I literally, because I argued with my mother, you know, no, I love him. I'm like, I said out loud, Mom, you're right. Mom, you're right. I don't like fireworks. I
just
just
hear you
like
say-
looking at them. I just like
Yeah.
looking at them.
Right.
But to be right there in front of my face, I don't like them. But we cleared that a little bit we
Yeah.
cleared that.
So it'll be interesting to see if you could say, "Hey, Mom, I changed my mind."
We're going to see this year. We're going to see this year. I think it was fear that came up. I think it was fear.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Well, at least you're identifying it and you have a process to release it. So
And I wanted to say, Vivian, that is exactly the thing. So like, so which is it? Can you just go, oh, in case I have any fear, sweep, sweep, sweep. That can work. And in a group context, like this is going to be a group class. I mean, we can do individual sessions for someone who really loves that. But in a group class, you actually get the group energy and you're
Yeah.
supporting each other. And so when we identify for one person, you can go, oh, yeah, actually, I have frustration in my life. Okay, so I'm going to clear some frustration events for myself.
Right.
So there's that. You can clear that way. And the mechanism by which it works, the reason we want to identify some specifics for a person and or a pet is that it's below the conscious level, right? Like Shifra, you often say, I had no idea. I hadn't remembered that. I hadn't thought of that. So when we bring it up to conscious level, that's when we can sweep it away on the governing meridian. And so bringing it to consciousness is the mechanism. So that's
And
why.
that's what I love about emotion code, because every time I have emotion code done, every single time, and you figure out the age, I remember. I can literally go, oh, yes, I can remember that. I never even thought about it in all my years. So it's really cool.
It's under the radar. Yeah.
Just a way.
It
Under
was
the
under
radar.
the radar. That's why you can't address it, because it's not even conscious.
Yep.
Right. So yeah, it just brings you into a complete awareness.
Yeah.
Yep. The person with the multiple dogs, that she lost throughout her life, said, she texted me and said, hey, by the way, let's be sure we work with the dog that I had when I was young that I hadn't even thought of for 15 years. And it was like it came up above the radar.
Nice.
So,
nice.
so it's a beautiful thing. And what I also want to tell people is that it's not, I haven't seen it yet be traumatic when it comes up. And Shifra, you can share your experience. It's just a little aha moment, and then it's cleared before it ever triggers you. So I've never found it to be traumatic myself. And then the feeling of lightness and freedom when it's gone is just beautiful. So Shifra, if you'd share your thoughts.
Absolutely. I've never gone, oh my God, and get into the the big drama of it. I can't believe that happened in pictures. No, it's like, oh yeah, let's get rid of that. Let's just get rid of that. And then you feel the lightness of,
yeah,
I don't have to carry that anymore.
Yep.
That's what I love about emotion code, is you don't have to carry it anymore. So cool.
Awesome.
Ditto.
Thank you, ladies, for
thank you for inviting me
today.
Thank you, Vivian.
And I hope you guys check out that website, because it's happening soon, which is next week. And Vienna, thank you so much for doing a demo. Shifra, thank you for being here. And we'll see you all next week again. Have a great day.
You too, and a happy 4th, everyone.
Happy 4th.
Happy 4th.